What's good, family? So mash the like button and subscribe. So over the last week or so, in fact 2 weeks ago now, I told you, man, that Anthony, the booty buster Joshua, was fuming at the state of boxing. Fuming at the fact that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, to be fair, because listen, many people have, YB, what are you talking about? Why is AJ angry at... Listen, this saga didn't start with Fury. YB, it's only the Fury fight falling through. No, it's not. This saga, let's not forget, AJ's been in this position of hunting down people since his career began. Bottom line, Vladimir Klitschko didn't want the rematch. Wilder has been ducking AJ for God knows how many years. Then Wilder gets his wig pushed back. Fury, finally, let's not forget, this wasn't the first Fury time, by the way. April, May 2019, AJ said just before he got beat by Ruiz, please, Fury or Wilder, anyone, please fight me. Guess what happened? Fury and Wilder came out. We've signed a 6-fight deal. A 7-fight consecutive deal we've just signed. No word of a lie. AJ put a video out begging and pleading with Fury, begging and pleading with Wilder. Please, can I sit down with one of you after my fight with Ruiz? Please, can we sit down and try and make this fight? That's what AJ said. He obviously got beat, but listen, the point is, over time, this whole thing hasn't just flopped in the space of no time. It's been building up. Anyway, I've digressed there, but listen, you man get a good history lesson with the YB, no doubt. That history's happened. Fury drops out. Then you got goofy belts. Let's not forget again. This wasn't the first goofy belt. IBF pulling Pulev in. There was a point of time, what? AJ's ducking Pulev. Are you joking? AJ wanted to fight Pulev back in 2017, I think it was, 2018. Guess what? Pulev ran off, and AJ filled in to come instead. No problem. And for some reason, God knows how, AJ filled to come in. Pulev's done nothing, but yet he was mandated as a mandatory as well. Like, what is this? But then again, guess what? AJ filled in Pulev. No problem. AJ spun Pulev around nicely. Yeah? Anyway, 2-2s. WBO now rock up and mandate a blown up light heavyweight who has done absolutely nothing out of everyone. To be fair to Pulev, at least he's a heavyweight. This is one of the worst mandatory calls in history of boxing, truth be known. One of the worst ones. I mean, since when does paying Chisora to give you a draw mean you know what I'm saying? Since when does paying Chisora and still only barely managing a draw, since when does that get you a unified mandatory spot? I've never heard of something like that in my life. But anyway, that's not the problem. Because guess what? Like I told you, man, in the last few weeks, AJ's fuming. And on that basis, he told the WBO, you know what, WBO? Behind closed doors, if you man carry on giving it the yammer, guess what? I'm going to drop the belt. And that's where I know I've gone a long way around it, but that's where we come to today. Today, end of the day, today we've been informed WBO, AJ reached out and touched the WBO. Yeah? 2 weeks ago I told you AJ was fuming. A week ago Eddie Hearn came out. And again I told you that, listen, it's touch and go here. AJ's going to drop WBO belt. At which point, the WBO, their backside started twitching. Yeah? The WBO listening to the YB's videos. Oops. What, AJ's really going to vacate? No, whatever lie. The WBO chairman, Don, was listening to the YB. Because for a minute they thought they was in a power position. 100%. For a minute, the WBO thought they was real smart. AJ will just stand there. AJ will just keep taking it. Yeah, AJ will just, you know what I'm saying? Because, listen, and one of the criticisms of AJ I've given him over the years is that you give these dons too much air room, too much room to play games. Much like the splits. Let's not forget that Mayweather was paying people 5 and 10%. Even Pacquiao, who himself was doing multi-million pay-per-view sales in his own right, he got paid 40%. AJ's out here giving 50% out for fun, and you know what I'm saying? It's kind of madness. But when you set that kind of precedent, when you're truly smoky and you're giving out freebies, it then becomes an expectation. People don't look at you and think, oh, you know what? He's been fair. He's fought every bum we've thrown in front of him. You know what I'm saying? Let's give him a bit of room here. Oh, no. People take until you draw a line in the sand. In fact, a perfect example, look at Theory. What do we know about Theory? Theory was the king of social media. He's a weightlifter. Oh, he's chinless. Guess what? AJ pulls up. Again, for years, AJ didn't say anything. And that allowed Fury to be the big don of social media. 2-2s. The very week, AJ pulls up and drops the fire on Fury about the charity. About the Tom Saunders getting moshed. Moshgate. Moshy Bashgate, yeah? Bare knuckle dad filled in gate. Ever since that happened, what happened to Theory? Theory lost his head. Theory disappeared from social media. That's what happened to Theory. All of a sudden, for the first time in his career, Theory don't want to be on social media no more. Yeah? So where I'm going with this is, it's about time, and it does appear AJ's learning, but it's about time, very needed, that AJ put his foot down. And that's what's happened here. Now, the title of this video and the article on your screen shows that the WBO have conveniently granted an extension. Because let's not forget, it was only, I think, a week ago, WBO, at that point, they hadn't heard the YB's videos. They didn't know the mental state AJ was in. They thought it was game as usual. They thought it was, just continue bossing AJ around as usual. Yeah, AJ, 31st of May, if you don't do this, we're going to do... Let's not forget, that's what the case was. The case was, a week ago, the case was, AJ, May 31st, you fight Usyk, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that. That's how they left it. 2-2, what do we know? Monday, 31st comes by. Tuesday, in fact, comes by. Nothing done. Eddie Hearn came out and said, listen, the deadline's gone. At which point, I'm hearing from one of my WBO generals, the chairman was twitching. Because, again, this is the problem, you see. You weren't expecting that. He was expecting AJ and Eddie Hearn to run around trying to protect the dead belt. To fight a dead light heavyweight. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Let's not forget. Again, this is the first time AJ hasn't. You never hear about AJ, the deadline's surpassed. Because guess what? People get filled in. Pulev got filled in. Takam got filled in. Whoever else got filled in. This is the first time a deadline's had to be extended. And it's rightly so. Even if AJ does end up fighting Usyk, it'll be on his terms. It won't be because he jumped and dived around on the WBO's whim. No. And that's what I've been told today. The WBO's May 31st deadline has... Listen, that's long gone. Yeah? And WBO now are trying to save face. Oh, we'll give you an extension. No, you haven't given them an extension. You've done as you're told. Let's not make out, yes, we're going to give you an extension. No, WBO, it wasn't your idea. Yeah? Your idea was May 31st. And then you found out, AJ told them, listen, if it's May 31st, you keep your May 31st and I'll keep what I'm doing. That's what he said to him. Listen, if you want to keep your May 31st, do so. Take the belt, I'm going my own way. Guess what happened then? Guess what happened succinctly? Guess what happened expeditiously? Oh, happy to give, you know what I'm saying? I guarantee you this for free, yeah? I guarantee you, and this is what, AJ, I know you're listening, yeah? What you should do now is, even if you are going to fight Usyk, yeah? On principle, you should drag this out for another 2 weeks, just to pile them off. Tell WBO, listen, you've given me a week extension, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. In fact, don't even tell them what you're going to do. What you should do is, wait until the week extension is up, and the day after the extension, tell them, listen, going to need some more time. Just do that. Do that for 3 weeks, in fact. Just stretch it out. Yeah? Because they ain't going to do nothing. That's what they ain't going to do. Because what can they do? Oh, I know what we're going to do. What you think the WBO, who is the most corrupt ones, or one of the most, next to the WBC, do you think they're going to take that belt and let Joe Joyce and Usyk's fight for it. You're having a laugh. Do you think they're going to throw away a $50 million fight for a 500 grand fight? I don't think so. Because if they was, guess what? They wouldn't have given you. This is the problem. If they was so keen to do the Joyce versus Usyk, they wouldn't have given one extension. Does that make sense? And it's about time. You know my opinion. My opinion is you should give the belt back anyway. And if I was managing you, I'd punk the WBO anyway and then give them the belt back on principle. I'd play around with them for 3 weeks and then dash the belt anyway. Because, like I said the other day, this unification fight ain't going to happen with Theory. Wilder and Theory, I reckon Wilder's going to win the next one, and that means there'll be another free fight. So, my opinion is, we have to assume the unification fight isn't going to happen. And on that basis, we need to start generating new interest. Much like you took the Ruiz dive. That Ruiz dive happened because, guess what? Wilder and Fury are fighting, are locked up in a 7-fight obligation. So we needed to build some hype. Because AJ's career, let's call a spade here. AJ's career before the Ruiz loss was getting kind of stagnant. Everyone was bored of watching AJ versus no-name Dons. Let's call a spade here. You know what I mean? It was no... That there really injected it. That increased incitement. Everyone couldn't wait to see how it comes back kind of thing. Guess what? We're kind of getting there again, aren't we? We've got AJ versus some blown up light heavyweight who just went 50-50 with a paid off Chisora. They sent one. So on that basis, let's start creating some hype. How you do that is drop the belt and give it to Usyk and Joyce. And then you fight the winner of that. Because then you'll be fighting a champion who's actually done something. Because whoever wins, which will be Joyce, when Joyce whoops Usyk, Joyce would have beaten the man who beat Bellend, who beat Hay. So there's a little bit of a lineage there. Yeah? A little bit of a lineage. And there's a pay-per-view lineage there as well. And obviously Joyce has just beat Dubois. So it's all... That's what you want to do. You don't want to be doing. And I'm kind of shocked at AJ's management here. What you don't want to be doing, as AJ's team, is fighting a cruiserweight who just went 50-50 with Chisora. Like, what's that? What's the point in that? Who's that serving? I'll tell you what it does serve. Or I'll tell you what does serve something. The winner of Joyce and Usyk, that fight, the winner of that fight, that is something. That you are someone then. You're the best of the bunch. On their own, Joe Joyce on his own and Usyk on his own, what have they both done? Well, to be fair, Joe Joyce has beat Dubois, but in the day, they both need each other, Usyk and Joyce. They don't have that it factor on their own. And this is what, again, WBO, this is what's supposed to make contender fights so important. Contender fights, boxing, the way boxing is today, or the way boxing is approached towards AJ for the last God knows how many years is, boxing has completely removed the contender factor. All it seems to be now is AJ versus random Don. Isn't it? Let's think about it for a second. Pulev, who did he beat? We're supposed to have, like, for example, Pulev could have been fighting Joe Joyce, Usyk, Dubois, I don't know, someone. What happened to the contender stage? Where, I'm not being funny, Joe Joyce, yes, he has the biggest claim at heavyweight right now, no doubt, with that win over Dubois, but even him. Like, since when is it the days, yeah, that you have one good win and you're made mandatory? And he isn't even made mandatory, but you know what I mean? That's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be you have two, I'd say at least two. You're supposed to have two, especially when we're talking about a unified champion here. This isn't for one crummy belt of the four. We're talking about a unified, more or less undisputed champion here. What do you have to do to get into that kind of position? I think you should be beating two contenders. Or at least one. What contender is Usyk's beaten? None. And that's why the Joyce and Usyk's fight makes sense. And what makes it even more frustrating, and again, from a managerial point of view, even more the reason why I wouldn't be fighting Usyk's now, is the fact that WBO actually ordered it. And in terms of AJ getting stripped, if I was AJ's team, yes, I understand not wanting to give the belt up, but what I'd say is, I'd say WBO, legally speaking, you know what, I don't even want to give my belt up. I'll tell you what to do. Why don't you stick with the precedent you've already set? You set the precedent back in February, January, that Joe Joyce will fight Usyk. What happened to that? Why are you suddenly promoting Usyk when you already ordered the Joyce fight? That don't make no sense. Stick to what you've ordered. Because now and again, what's Joe Joyce's team doing? Where's Mr. Big Mouth Sam Jones? You can't normally get rid of him. All of a sudden, a key time where he could kind of potentially better his fighter's career. Because now's the time to be speaking up. You know what, WBO? Leave AJ alone. We want Usyk. He ain't said nothing. No joke. I haven't heard Sam Jones. Like, this is the most pivotal time. If there was ever a time to speak up and get the lawyers out, it'd be now. Oh no, he's quiet. He's missing. Wow. But anyway, it's not even about Joyce. But, it is in a way. Because my channel is about the sport of boxing. It's not about shilling for someone for the sake of it. And I'm telling you, man, now, for the sport of boxing's sake, it's better for AJ to fight Usyk or Joyce as a champion in their own right. Because they've fought each other. Again, the winner of Joyce and Usyk will be a bona fide champion and or a bona fide contender in their own right. That man who comes out on top of that fight has actually done something. That there is actually an intriguing fight. Now, on their own, it's just two more bodies, isn't it? It's a man who went life and death with a paid-off Chisora, and Joe Joyce, who's had one decent win. But what is that? There's nothing in it, is there? There's no spark in that. And since AJ's having to... This is the problem. AJ seems to be doing all the contenders' work. It's mad. It's proper mad. I've never seen anything like it. Since when does the unified champion do all of the contenders' work for them? It's not a case... Look, many goofies, yeah? Many goofies hear me saying that and say, oh, YB, you're protecting AJ. No, I'm trying to protect the sanctity of the sport here. How the sport's supposed to work is... Let me remind you of the UFC. In the UFC, you don't have the champion fighting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then 7, 8, 9, 10 just sitting around and waiting for a year. How long has Usyk's been waiting for? He's waiting for a minute, just sitting around. Even when he had a fight ordered, just sitting crying and whining like a little girl. That's another thing that frustrates me. How he whined. He was no word of a lie. Before this Fury fight fell through, Usyk's manager was literally whining. Oh. It was embarrassing to watch. I didn't even watch it all. It's pathetic. Oh, like he's been done wrong. That's no word of a lie. Usyk's manager put a 30-minute video out crying about how he's been done wrong. As if AJ and the WBO had refused to give him his shot. No. You was told what to do, Usyk. You are in the fighting game. You signed up for heavyweight. You was the king of cruiserweight. And then you saw Lawrence Okolie coming up and you thought, you know what, I don't feel like getting slept, so I'm going to run up to heavyweight and start thinking I'm big dog. You're not big dog at heavyweight. You haven't done nothing there. So who do you think you are? You're not who you think you are at heavyweight. Yeah? Prove yourself. You've had one fight with a bum and you went life and death with him, and then you fought Chisora and paid him off and still went life and death. Like, what planet are you on? And then you think you're calling shots. Oh well, I went life and death with Chisora. What is that what it is then? What club is this? You tell me, listen, you tell me. Is the WBO the Go Life and Death with Chisora club? Sorry, is the WBO the Go Life and Death with a paid-off Chisora club or not? Because that's the way it's looking right now. Right now, it's looking as if you can pay Chisora off and go 50-50 with him still, and then get a unified mandatory shot. Meanwhile, people like Joe Joyce, who has his own claim more than Usyk's. Because listen, Joe Joyce's win over Dubois is the best win in the heavyweight division right now. I put Joyce over Dillian White. Who's Dillian White stopped? Of Dubois' caliber. Of Dubois' kind of, you know what I'm saying? Young. Yes, Dillian White filled in Chisora, but That's Chisora. Don't get me wrong, that Dillian White Chisora win still puts him above Usyk. And that just shows how much of a claim Usyk doesn't have. Usyk don't have no claim at heavyweight. He's probably in the 10th shot, the 10th position. But again, it goes back to the whole thing of the sport at the moment. Pulev, what did he do? That's the reason you've got Usyk crying, because he thinks to himself, well, look at Pulev. Pulev did nothing for 3 years and got a shot. So why can't I have one? Unfortunately, Usyk, yes, that's how it went, but that's not how the sport should be going. And the problem is, again, it's to do with the belts. There's so many of them. Before, when there was one belt, guess what? Your champion inevitably couldn't fight everyone. So you'd have to get yourself into a position where you're blatantly number one. That said, the fact there's more belts shouldn't be the issue. And really, these belt organisations should put things in place to kind of encourage unified and undisputed champions. Instead, they're doing the opposite. For example, to encourage an undisputed champion, you'd do things like, you know what, AJ, we know you've got 3 belts. So what we're going to do is, WBO and WBA are going to work together. We're going to put our number 2s. You know what I'm saying? For example, if WBA's got one number 2 and WBO's got one number 2, we're going to fight them off together. And that, you know what I'm saying? That Don there will then move on to fight AJ. Again, that would be a contender model. Number 2s and number 3s fighting each other. Instead, they all lock off their own little silos, which means that you get these goofies come along like Pulev, who just kind of hangs around and waits for his opportunity and times it properly. Because people know, these fighters know when someone's mandatory is coming up. For example, AJ beat Pulev in December. They know, come December next year, that clock's ticking again. So they hang around and then pop in, you know what I'm saying? So for example, Pulev hanged around, saw AJ's clock was timing out, and then beat number 4 in the IBF. Do you understand? So all that kind of trickery. Have one good win against someone in the belt. Have one good win against someone in the IBF, and then just sit there and wait. It's not even one good win as well. It's literally our win. I'm talking. Pulev went 12 rounds of some Don. That's what they call a good win. Just like Usyk's going 12 rounds with Chisora. And then I've got Dons, telling me that AJ is ducking Usyk's. And with the same breath, saying that, oh, well, Usyk deserves this mandatory because he was cruiserweight. He was cruiserweight champion. Like, what? I don't give a F what he was. What's that got to do with anything? Oh, and by the way, since AJ's ducking Usyk so much, why aren't you same goofies banging the drum about Usyk's ducking Joyce? Because that's all you man should be focused on. For the last 4 months, Usyk has ducked Joyce. People tell me, why Usyk beat Joyce in amateur? Okay, if it's that easy work, why hasn't it been done? Yeah? If Usyk has already beat him, why didn't Usyk fight him in the last 3-4 months? And stop crying on YouTube with IFL TV. Stop wheeling out his manager to beg for him. Oh, bringing the lawyers in, and wow, Usyk is looking bad. And I can't lie to you, man. Listen, the only reason I want to watch that fight with AJ and Usyk is to watch him get filled in. Because I can't stand whiners. It's like Wilder. Usyk and Wilder would work well together. Just whining. Bunch of pansies, crying. It's not a good look. Yeah? And for a long time, Eastern Europeans got a lot of respect for being hard men, but Usyk went hard. Because being hard, you'd have got in there with Joe Joyce and handled your business and then become AJ's mandatory as a true champion. You could stand tall and say, you know what, I've earned this. You haven't earned that. You're scary looking ass. You've got that position through being political, and that's why I think AJ should drop the belt on principle. I'm not doing all these cats' work no more. I'll fight the best ones. That's what I've signed up for as a champion. As a champion, in fact, as a unified champion, what that means is I am obliged to fight the best. It doesn't mean I'm going to fight every goofy who thinks they can ignore orders and hide around and wait it out and then come popping up with lawyers. That's not what it means. That's not the obligation. The obligation is to fight the best. And guess what? The best in this situation will be the winner of Joyce and Usyk. So again, all you muppets saying, "Oh, AJ's ducking." How is AJ ducking by saying he wants to fight the best one? Not every single one. That's not what a champion does. A champion doesn't fight every single one. No, that's your job as a contender, to work it out. Send the best up to me. It's almost like a manager. It's almost like, following a chain of command. You don't pop up out of nowhere and go and talk to the top don. No, you have to send it up to work your way up. So anyway, listen. End of the day, WBO have been touched and they're feeling it. That's why this extension got written. This extension got written for no other reason than the WBO, their backside is twitching right now. They're scared of losing AJ. And if I was AJ, I'd keep my foot on their neck. And then I'd punk them off. And say, you know what, I don't want your crappy belt anyway, take it back. And I'll tell you what I'll do. I might, a year from now, I may swing round and pick it up again if I do or don't choose to. In the meantime, you man best fix up your attitude. Otherwise I won't, and I'll just dead your belt off, and I'll end your belt. How about that? That's what I'll be. Listen, that's from now on. That's how AJ should be thinking. I am the heavyweight don, and I will make or break belts. And if you don't like it, well, you will like it, because what you'll do is a year from now you'll come back with your hat in your hand, yeah, and you'll say, you know what, AJ, we've had a year to think about our behaviour, and we've fixed up. That's what you'll be doing. Or you won't. Or you can try and be big dog and go out on your own and put on fights with Joyce and Usyk. See how that goes. See how that works for you. Yeah? No doubt.